James Clapper's getting kind of concerned. James Clapper going on to CNN, former head of the DNI, and expressing his frustration and reluctance and need to lawyer up, specifically lawyer up, his words. He's asked about it by Caitlin Collins, and I want to show you this clip.
When the director says that she's referred these filings to the Justice Department for criminal investigation, tonight we're told they formed what is called a strike force. Do you have concerns that they will attempt to prosecute you?
Well, certainly I do. After 8.5 years of this, and I don't know of an intelligence product that was more scrutinized, more investigated than that product was by numerous people. It's very disconcerting. It really is. And I take seriously when the President of the United States accuses me of being a participant in a treasonous conspiracy, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, what's your reaction to that?
It's ridiculous. It is untrue.
So what will you do if they come after you? What is your plan?
Well, I'll lawyer up, I suppose. Already have.
You've already hired attorneys in anticipation that this Trump Justice Department could try to prosecute you.
We've had sort of perpetual attorneys since I left the government in 2017.
So yeah, he's a little bit nervous. You know, if you look back on those records, it sort of suggested that he wasn't kind of along for the ride in the same way as some of those other folks. And then when you hear about 20 FBI and former CIA officials coming forward and now going on record saying this was all Obama's idea, Obama wanted to do this, it's like, wow. Here's the thing. I don't know if you actually get convictions. I'm going to be completely, perfectly transparent and honest with you. Can you actually get convictions? I mean, what about immunity, right, for the President of the United States? That's a big issue. So if President Barack Obama has immunity, what about everybody around him? Well, some people have suggested that some folks like Comey, like Fauci, different story, but, somebody else who got an auto pardon on the 11th hour right before Joe Biden left office. There were like 8,000 of them. If those auto pardons are all null and void, then guess what? A lot of these people that participated in this could actually go down in flames, and they may be paying the price in the future. So that explains, for example, why James Comey was so worried and kept saying, this election is so important, it's so important, it's so important. You can't allow for him to win because he's going to come back and he wants retribution, et cetera. Well, wouldn't you? I mean, if they said what they said about him, about you, wouldn't you expect some kind of remorse from them? If nothing else, for goodness sakes, people just give an apology. I mean, that's what it took, plus $36 million from CBS, right? Or ABC News, similar situation, plus an extra $16 million. Look, you just can't lie and expect to get away with it. But, tell that to the Wall Street Journal. Because again, I go back to what we're seeing there from the Wall Street Journal, and this is really interesting that they printed this story without having the physical letter itself. Just this sort of letter with a lot of innuendo suggesting that, Trump had a cozy relationship with Epstein. Maybe he did. It's really neither here nor there. They print this letter and then they kind of infer from that all these other things to the point now where The View thinks Rupert is going to take him down. Well, that is unless Donald Trump takes down the Wall Street Journal. Don't forget. He's suing them now for $10 billion. So, Joy, your little thesis there, I'm not so sure it's going to play out.
And before we go on hiatus, we only have one more show after this. I'm allowed to say that, right?
Too late now.
So it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
Before we go, I wanted to tell people that the tide is turning. The tide is turning, and things are changing. I mean, the ultimate irony would be that Rupert Murdoch will take him down.
Yeah.
Fox News, who created the monster, will take him down.
Our thanks to Newsbusters for that clip. Here's an op-ed actually published by Fox News in which they're attacking Tulsi Gabbard's allegations and accusations and saying they are a dangerous effort to rewrite history. Because you see, if you're on the left, you want history exactly as you've decided to write it. Nobody else is allowed to have any involvement in that. And this, of course, was written by a guy who's a former Biden official. So he wants his version of history to exist. And apparently Fox is so willing to oblige, maybe because they too want to take Donald Trump down before he takes the Wall Street Journal down. I don't know if he'll take the whole journal down. But it brings up the interesting case of libel, right? And if you're a public figure, if you're the president of the United States, it can be kind of difficult for you to sue for libel. But in this case, I kind of think if you're just making stuff up, if you don't even actually physically have the letter, and you just want to trade in this innuendo, then maybe he does have something. And even if you're the president, you should be protected somewhat against just completely false information. People should not be able to print, and I'm all for free speech, right? But there's got to be some responsibility in free speech. I mean, Hulk Hogan was one of the people that certainly taught us that, right? Remember he went after Gawker? He's dead. God bless him. Rest his soul, 71 years old. I was surprised by the news. He looked so healthy, right? Maybe it was the tan. Anyway, that's a picture of him at the RNC. Thanks so much for the generosity, Skip VP. That's him at the RNC. And, you know, he kind of took off his shirt. He was very, very much like this artistic performer of sorts. You know, everybody in that sort of wrestling world, right, is. And he took off his shirt, and underneath you saw Trump Vance. And he gave a really compelling speech in favor of the president. Anyway, he just passed away. We got that news this afternoon. But he was a good example of somebody who was a public figure and said, you know what, you can't just come after me. And he actually put Gawker out of business as a result of that one. So pretty interesting stuff.